to another Just 5 Mins. Um, Today is a little bit abstract from the topic. It's HTTP3 and QUIC, spelt QUIC, by the way. What the heck is it? Why do I need to care? Well, most people probably won't, unless you're a developer, perhaps, possibly. But most people will just a bit like everything at the moment. You type HTTPS in your browser to go to wherever it is, your favorite website, and you don't care too much, apart from the fact that if you're going and doing some banking online, you're going to be hopefully a little bit aware that it's secure and you've got SSL certificates to help sort of with that process. But essentially, I didn't realize actually that HTTP, I knew it was a long time ago, but it was originally released in around about 1991, which was quite incredible, really. And it took, I think it was around about 2015 that HTTP2, with all the upgrade of the security and things like that, came out around about 2015. So that is quite incredible. But it's let's face it, it's the underlying way that websites, applications talk on the internet. Um, and at the moment, we've all been used to things like SSL certificates and HTTPS instead of just HTTP. But there's some notable things that are going to improve, but I don't think it's going to be like just around the corner. This, I think it's it was originally developed in 2012 by Google, apparently. Um, but it was adopted by the Engineering Task Force, IETF, which is a vendor neutral standards organization. So it's become that open standard for all the vendors around the world. Okay, but a couple of the key things that jump out is that it's meant to be HTTP3, when it's fully adopted, that is going to be a lot better for things like mobile heavy internet usage. So where your mobile phone or cell phone, if you want to call it that, is connecting to a cell or mobile data network, whether it's 4G, 5G, or whatever it might be. If you're in between connections, it's doing some switching. Certainly if you're then switching from Wi-Fi to mobile data, there can be quite a lag and it can get quite broken connections and goodness knows what. So that's one of the goals of this, since we're all carrying mobile devices of one type or not. But also the fact that HTTP3 relies on something called UDP, which is the User Datagram Protocol. Honestly, I don't know a lot of the depth of this, so don't worry. But generally, most of the traffic that is on the internet has been TCP, Transmission Control Protocol. UDP is going to make things a heck of a lot faster, essentially, but also to do with the security, which we'll have a chat about later. But this is, as I say, it's going to improve sluggish performance on smartphones when there's a lot of switching between networks, decreasing data loss, of these things where things are switching between networks. But also the fact that really it's going to be encrypted by default, okay, which is really quite an interesting one. So at the moment, you've got things like HTTPS and SSL certificates. With HTTP3, it's not going to be the application layer that's providing that encryption. It's probably still will. I can't believe that's going to go away. But at the lower transport layer, it's also going to be encrypted by default. So, and that's going to improve performance as well. So instead of doing things like where there's something called TLS where it has to, there's an algorithm that goes checks and everything and makes sure that your connection's secure. With HTTP3 and QUIC, it's going to really speed that up because it's basically combining the encryption and the handshake at the same time. So it's got some quite positive things from a security perspective for sure. Um, it's sort of HTTP3. Is it out there at the moment? Well, yeah, there's a few sites, services, apps, frameworks using it, but certainly not all over the place. And bearing in mind that there's a lot of sites that are not even on HTTP2, never mind 3. Um, but one potential hurdle apparently is the fact that there's going to be increased CPU usage, which I think for the most part, for most people, it's probably not going to be um, a big difference, but it's a thing to be aware of. Um, but interesting, Cloudflare, people who do a lot of their security on a lot of internet sites and CDNs and goodness knows what, they do have an option at the moment where, without changing anything on your site or origin, you can actually turn on support for HTTP3. So that's quite a nice, handy little thing. So yeah, but it's on the cards. Hopefully, it's going to make things a bit secure, a bit more secure, should I say, and a little bit more snappy when you're going around the internet. But will most people know or care? Probably not. But certainly, if you're building applications, websites, web apps, whatever it is, APIs, then you probably will. So that's what I've got this time. Run over as usual, but we'll see you in the next one.